Hi everyone, in this video let's discuss about SE 701 communicating key audit matters in the independent auditor's report. So I'm going to communicate some key audit matter via independent auditor's report. Let's understand the scope of this SE. It deals with the auditor's responsibility to communicate key audit matters in the independent auditor's report. I as an auditor is going to communicate some key audit matter that is gonna be dealt in the standard. It is intended to address both the auditor's judgment as to what to communicate and the of such communication. It is going to serve the purpose of both the auditor's judgment as to what to communicate and the form and contents of such communication. Let's read from the standard itself. The purpose of communicating the key audit matter the communicative value of the auditor's report by providing greater transparency about the audit that was performed. So, in order to increase the transparency, this key audit matter concept was introduced. Communicating key audit matter provides additional information to the intended users of the financial statement. It's an additional information beyond what is given by the opinion or the financial statements and the notes. Okay, communicating key audit matters may also assist the users in understanding the areas of significant management judgment, and the audited financial statement is going to understand where there is a significant management judgment involved. Okay, what does key audit matter mean? It means those matters, let's understand that one first. Key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. So only in the current period, these matters are of most significant in during the audit based on the auditor's professional judgment. Key audit matters are selected from the matters that are communicated with those charged with governance. So it is selected from those matters which have already been communicated with those charged with governance. So let's repeat the definition. Key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. Key audit matters are selected from the matters communicated with those charged with governance. Now, communicating key audit matters in the auditor report is in the context of an auditor having formed an opinion on the financial statement as a whole. Communicating key audit matter is not a substitute for disclosure in the financial statement, or it is not a substitute for auditor expressing a modified opinion, or it is not a substitute for reporting in accordance with SA 570 is going concern. Then it is not a separate opinion on the individual matters. So it is not a substitute for disclosure. It is not a substitute for auditor expressing a modified opinion. It is not a substitute for reporting in accordance with SA 570, and it is not a separate opinion which is given on that individual matters. So these are again a short questions could be asked for. Now let's move on. Purpose of communicating the key audit matter. This we have discussed, right? To enhance the communicative value of the auditor's report by providing greater transparency about the audit that was performed. To assist the user in understanding those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment were of most significance in the audit of the financial statement of the current period. Now, let's move on understanding the objectives. Okay, objectives of the auditor to determine the key audit matter. To determine the key audit matter, having formed an opinion on the financial statement, communicate those matters by describing them in the auditor's report. I have to see what I have to do is I have to identify and determine those key audit matter, and then I have to express or else communicate those matter by describing them in the auditor's report. Now, determining the key audit matters. The auditor shall determine from the matters communicated with those charged with governance those matters that require significant auditor's attention in performing the audit. In making this determination, what are things to be considered in making the determination as to which matters require significant audit consideration or significant auditor attention have to be taken into account. What are those areas of higher assessed risk of material misstatement or significant risk? For example, risk of fraud. Okay, areas of higher assessed risk of material misstatement or significant risk. Significant auditor's judgment relating to the financial statements that involve significant money, including accounting estimates, having high estimation uncertainty. The effect of on the audit of significant events or transactions occurred during the significant events and transactions. Three things have to be considered. Okay. Areas of higher assessed risk of material misstatement or significant risk identified. Significant auditor's judgment, including accounting, that those involve significant management judgment, including those accounting estimates having high degree of estimation uncertainty. The effect on the audit of significant events and transactions that occur during the period. Now, within this, he can determine those matters that are of most significance in the audit of current period, and therefore those can be made as key audit matter. Okay, let's revise. Auditor shall take into account areas of higher assessed risk of material misstatement, significant auditor's judgment, and effect on the audit of significant events or transactions that occur during the current period. Now, the next part is communication. Right now, that I have determined. Now I have to communicate. There are only two objectives of the standard. One is to determine, and next is to communicate. First one is now done. Okay. Now I have to communicate. Communicating key audit matter. The auditor shall determine each key audit matter and then describe each key audit matter using an appropriate subheading in the separate section of an auditor's report under the heading key audit matters, unless circumstances in paragraph 1415 apply. The introductory language in the section of the auditor's report shall state that the key audit matters are those matters that in the auditor's professional judgment bear of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. So this is nothing but definition of key audit matter. These matters were addressed in the context of audit of financial statement as a whole, and in forming an opinion thereon. The audit does not provide a separate opinion on those matters. This is like key audit matter is not a substitute for a separate opinion, right? Not we have to mention. We have to make the user understand that it is not a separate opinion. Key audit matter is not a substitute for expressing a modified opinion. Description of individual key audit matter. The description of each key audit matter shall include a reference to related disclosure. I have to make a reference to related notes or related item to the financial or related disclosure to the financial statement. Why the matter was considered. I have to say why this is a key audit matter and how that was addressed. For example, if there are inventory theft has happened or inventory there is a wide deficiency is there, so I have to say this is why this has been considered as a key audit matter and this was addressed by following so and so audit procedures. Okay, now circumstances in which a matter determined to be a key audit matter is not communicated in the auditor's report. When and all it is not to be communicated in the auditor's report. First, law or regulation precludes public disclosure. Law stands prevails over everything, right? So law or regulation precludes a public disclosure. Then I will not make it as a key audit matter. In extremely rare circumstances, the auditor determines that the adverse. Okay, I have determined that this has not to be reported because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. The benefits is going to be less than the adverse effect. Adverse effect is going to be more than compared to the benefits. That's why I'm not going to disclose this. Okay. Interaction between the description of key audit matter and other elements to be included in the auditor's report. See, these matters shall not be described in the key audit matter section of the auditor's report. Rather, the auditor shall report these matters in accordance with applicable essays, include a reference to basis of qualified. These understanding things like modified opinion or the going concern. Those will not be made as key audit matter. Rather, it will be included in the respective paragraphs. Now, content of key audit matter section, other circumstances. There is nothing but we have to include a separate paragraph saying the key audit matter. Next, communication with those charged with governance. The auditor shall communicate with those charged with governance those matters the auditor has determined to be a key audit matter, and depending on the circumstances, he may say there is no key audit matter to be communicated in the auditor's report for the current period. He may either say these are the current key audit matters for the current period, or he may say there is no key audit matter to be discussed or disclosed in the current period's auditor's report. Now, documentation. What are things to be documented? This is very important, right? Let's repeat the same sentence. Work not documented is work not done, right? The matters that require significant auditor's attention as determined, okay, and the rationale for auditor's determination, okay. See, some matters have been communicated with TCWC, so that would have been some important matters, right? So those would have required significant auditor's attention, and why I'm going to make it as a significant audit matter? I have to justify it. I have to give a rationale for it. Where applicable, the auditor's rationale for auditor's determination that there are no key audit matters to be communicated, and that one key audit matter to communicate those matters. See, I have to say, why, even though there are some matters to be communicated with TCBG, why I'm not giving those as key audit matter? I have to give a rationale for that. Where applicable, the rationale for auditor's determination not to communicate in the auditor's report is report a matter determined to be a key audit matter. See, if I am determined a matter to be a key audit matter and I have not communicated it, why it is so? Okay, because there could have been a law could have been precluded, or the adverse consequences would have outweighed the public interest benefits. So three things to be documented. Now, let's go back to Saransh. Yeah. Communicating key audit matters, so that was not a substitute for disclosure, not a substitute for disclosure, and then not a substitute for what expressing a modified opinion, not a substitute for reporting in accordance with SA 570, and yeah, sorry. And separate opinion, not a substitute for separate opinion on the individual matters, and it should be given in a separate heading, key audit matters. So let's continue with the standard itself. Okay. Now, so let's come back here. I don't know why it's not showing, but let's give it some time to load. Before that, let's check with other things. Okay. When an auditor expresses a qualified or adverse opinion, communicating other key audit matters would be still relevant to enhance the intended user's understanding of the audit. Therefore, the requirements remain key audit matter apply. Even though I'm giving a modified opinion, I have to still remind there are some key audit matters to be discussed, right? However, an adverse opinion is expressed in the where the auditor has concluded that misstatements individually or in aggregate are both material and pervasive to financial statement, depending on the significance of the matter, giving rise to adverse opinion. The auditor may determine that no other matters are key audit matters. Okay. And in other one, if one or more matters other than the matter giving rise to is determined to be a key audit matter, it's particularly important description that do not imply the financial statement as a whole are more credible in relation to those matters that have been appropriate in view of the adverse opinion. See, let's understand this. Now that I have given a qualified or adverse opinion, okay, because I have concluded that there are material misstatements. Now, it will be still relevant if I give keyword matter. But if I give an adverse opinion, okay, all those matters are keyword matters are giving rise to material misstatement. Then there's no need to give a keyword matter separately again. Okay. Or there could be other case. There are some matters which would lead to adverse opinion, and some matters would be still be a keyword matter without any qualification in the opinion, right? So that those can be still be given as a keyword matter with additional note stating that these matter, even though they are a keyword matter, does not make the financial statement more credible. Other than those, because the adverse effects of the adverse opinion reasons, the space of adverse opinion reasons are outweigh these credibilities. Okay. Now let's see whether it is coming now. Ouch. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. See, let's go here. See. Yeah. SA 320 explains that there is a reasonable for the auditor to assume the user of financial statement have a reasonable knowledge of the business and economic activities, understand the financial statement are prepared, presented, and audited to the levels of materiality, recognize that certainties inherent in the measurement of amounts based on the use of estimates, judgments and consideration of future events, and make reasonable economic decisions on the basis of information of the financial statement. See, who is considered to be a user of financial statement? Those who have a reasonable knowledge of the business and economic activities and accounting, and then understand the financial statements, and then recognize the uncertainties that there are inherent in the business, and then make reasonable economic decision on the basis of information available. Those would be known as use of the financial statement. Now, let's continue. Okay, great. Determining the key audit matter. right? We have to determine what are those key audit matters from the matters that have been communicated with the TCWG. Notwithstanding the auditor's determination of key audit matters for the auditor of financial statement of the current period, this essay does not require the auditor to update the key audit matter included in the prior period auditor's report. It may be nevertheless be useful for the auditor to consider whether a matter that was a key audit matter in the audit of financial statement of a previous period continues to be a key audit matter in the current financial statement. This is the first statement which we discussed, right? Key audit matters for the current period alone, right? Generally, but the auditor may nevertheless consider it be useful to consider the prior period's key audit matter and to check whether still those matter remain a key audit matter for the current period as well. Okay, matters that require significant auditor's attention. See, area of significant auditor attention often relate to areas of complexity and significant management judgment in the financial statement and therefore involve a difficult or complex auditor's judgment. In short, this often affects the auditor's overall strategy, the allocation of resources, and the extent of auditor's effort in relation to the matters. These effects may include the extent of involvement of senior personnel on the audit engagement or the involvement of an auditor's expert and individuals with expertise in a specialized area of accounting or auditing, whether engaged or employed by the firm to address these areas. Significant auditor's attention areas would be include those areas where specific expertise people would be employed to oversee those areas. Whereas essay requires specific communication, those charged with governance, another that may relate to significant auditor's attention. For example, say 260 requires communication of significant difficulties, right? That could be an area of significant auditor's attention, then related party transactions or limitation on the group audit. Okay. The 220 requires the engagement partner in relation to undertaking an appropriate consultation on difficult or contentious matter. For example, the auditor may have consulted with other firms, others in the firm or outside the firm, on a subject significant technical matter, which may be an indicator that it is a key audit matter. Significant technical matter, that is a very high value technical matter. Okay. Now, considerations in determining those matters that require significant auditor's attention. These considerations focus on the nature of matter to be communicated with those charged with governance that are often linked to matters disclosed in the financial statement. Okay, the fact that these considerations are required is not intended to imply that these matters related to them are always key audit matter, rather than matters related only if they are of most significance in the audit. So, all matter communicated to these which cannot be of key audit matter, but only of those which are most significant for the audit of the current period would be known as key audit matter. Okay. Areas of higher assessed risk would be an example. Okay. Then, significant risk. So, significant risk, what is that? It's an identify and assess the risk of material misstatement that in the auditor's judgment requires a special audit consideration. For example, it could be like fraud risk. It's one risk which we discussed, right? Significant risk are those risks which require specific audit consideration, a significant audit consideration. Now, yeah. The effect on the audit of significant events or transactions that occur during the period. Events or transactions that have a significant effect on the financial statement or the audit may be area of significant auditor attention, could be a significant risk. For example, the auditor have an extensive discussion with the management and those charged with governance at various stages throughout the audit about the effect on the financial statement of significant transactions with the related parties. Okay, significant of the normal course of business. Those could be transactions that have occurred during the period having a bearing on the key audit matter. Now, matters of most significance. For example, a auditor may have a more in-depth, frequent, robust interaction with those charged with governance on more difficult and complex matters, the application of significant accounting policies which are subject to significant auditor or management judgment. Other of the matter, how much it is important for the user's understanding, and the nature of underlying accounting policy, nature and materiality, quantitative and qualitatively, of the accumulated or uncorrected misstatement. The nature and extent of auditor's effort, that is specialized effort is needed, or what are the consultations that I get from outside the engagement team. Nature and severity of difficulties in applying the auditor's procedures, and I'm not able to obtain sufficient audit evidence, or it could be like I have to apply more procedures, detailed audit procedures to verify the accuracy of the figures. And then severity of control deficiency identifies whether the matter is involved a number of separate but related audit consideration. For example, long-term contracts may involve significant auditor's attention with respect to revenue recognition, litigation, or the contingency. There are more coming to one particular If I have a long-term contract, I have to check whether it is proper in all the legal aspects, whether the related revenue has been duly recognized, whether liability has been created. So those things have to be taken care of. Now, communicating the key audit matter section in the auditor's report in close proximity. See, I have to place it in such a manner, it's close proximity to the auditor's opinion. Okay. Now, description of individual key audit matter. See, adequacy of description is a matter of professional judgment. Okay, it's intended to provide a circle balanced explanation to enable internet users to understand why the matter was one of the most significant and how the matter was addressed. Only two things I have to describe. One is why it was a key audit matter and how I am going to communicate, how I have dealt with those, how those risks have been addressed. It's appropriate for the auditor to seek avoid description inappropriately providing the original information about the entity. The key is not usually itself the original, but it describes the context of the audit. So not the exact information about the original information, but I have to check, I have to describe how I have applied my audit procedures. Okay. Documentation prepared during the audit can be useful for the auditor in formulating the description of a key audit matter. For example, written communications or auditor's documentation of oral communication, those charged with governance, provide useful basis for auditor's communication or auditor's report. This is because auditor is intended to address the significant matters arising during the audit, the conclusion reached thereon, significant professional achievement. These all things are which I do in audit, right? I have to discuss, I have to then conclude, make a conclusion, I have to make some significant professional judgment. These are things I have to describe in the key audit matter as well. So that's why the auditor's audit documentation could serve as a basis for the key audit matter description. Okay. Reference to where the matter is disclosed. So I have to give a reference to the particular matter. Description of key audit matter is not a mere reiteration of what is already disclosed. Okay. However, see, key audit matters, the audit procedure which I do. Okay, the disclosure will be given by the management with respect to the notes of financial statement, right? So I have not just to reiterate what the management has said, I have to say the audit procedure we have done, and instead of reiterating, I will just give a reference to particular note to the financial statement. Robust disclosure about accounting estimate, I will draw attention to the key assumptions and so on. Then the auditor consider the matter to be of most significance audit. The relevance of the information for internet users is a consideration for the auditor in determining what to include in the description. Whether it is relevant or not is to be first determined, and then only it has to be included in the key audit matter. A description may also make a reference to principal consideration that relate to the auditor to determine the matter of most significance. For example, it could be the economic conditions that affected the auditor's ability to obtain the audit evidence. Okay, because it is illiquid market instrument. Okay, then new or emerging accounting policies, changes in the entity strategy or business model that had a material effect on the financial statements. How the matter was addressed in the audit. See, I have to check what are the auditor's response and approach, brief view of the procedures performed, and then indication of the outcome of the audit procedures, and then key observations with respect to the matter. In order for the internet user to understand the significance of the key audit matter in the context of audits of financial statement as a whole, as well as the relationship between the key audit matter and other elements of the auditor's report, including the auditor's opinion, care may be necessary so that the language used in the description does not imply the matter has been appropriately resolved by the auditor, relates to a matter directly to specific systems of entity while avoiding generic sundry languages, taking into account how the matter was addressed and related disclosure in the financial statement does not contain or imply discrete opinion on the separate elements of the financial statement. It should be in such a manner that I don't give a separate opinion on that elements of the financial statement. Now, circumstances in which a matter determined to be a key audit matter is not communicated in the auditor's report. Okay. What is two things? One, it may be law and regulation preclude the disclosure, or extremely rare circumstances. I presume that the public interest, okay, that is the adverse consequences would outweigh the public interest benefit. Okay. In communication with management and those such with governance helps to inform the auditor's judgment in determining whether to communicate the matter by assisting the auditor in understanding why the matter has not been publicly disclosed by the entity and highlighting whether there have been any communications with applicable regulatory or legal requirement, enabling the auditor where appropriate to encourage the management and those charged with governance to make a public disclosure. The auditor may also consider it necessary to obtain a written representation from the management as to why public disclosure about the matter is not appropriate, including the management's view about the significance of the adverse consequences may arise as a result of such communication. Second was right, adverse consequences would outweigh the public interest benefit. For those they can obtain a written communication from the management also that will have an adverse consequence. Why such information, if communicated, will have an adverse consequence. Now, for content of the cure matter section in the other circumstances, see, it should if there is no cure matter, I have to say there is no cure matter. Okay, cure matter will not be communicated in the auditor's report. No matters have been determined to be cure matter. That could be given. Okay, and then I have to state that the cure matters are those communicated in accordance with the TCL have to communicate those matters. And those matters which are of high significance, most significance, have been included as a key or matter. Okay. Okay. Now, let's conclude with the documentation part. Okay. Requires an auditor to prepare a documentation that is sufficient to enable an experienced auditor having no previous connection with the auditor to understand, among other things, significant professional judgments. Okay, in the context of keyword matter, these professional judgments include determination why it is keyword matter and how it was communicated at best. Right, the auditor judgment in this regard likely to be supported by the documentation of the auditor's communication with those established with governance and the audit documentation relating to the individual matter, as well as certain other documentation of significant matters arising during the audit. However, the SE does not require the auditor to document why the matters communicated with those service governance were not the matters that require significant audit attention. Okay, it does not require why other matters significant audit attention matters will be covered in the cure matter, right? Why other matters are not cure matter that need not be documented. Okay, for yes you have to document. Okay, for no you need not document. Okay. That's not given in the standard. So with this, I believe that SA 701 is clear to you, and hope you find this video useful. If you really find it useful, please do like, share and subscribe for a better reach. Thank you so much.